Right. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's cool. Let me move this from here. Right. So last week let me bring up the part of the notes that I gave you last week because I just let me bring up this part. So I did mention that the where clause is quite a big one. And so that's primarily what we would be doing today. That's our focus for today. If we are able to finish the where clause today, that would be really great because it has a lot of different options that can be looked at. So I said that the where clause is used when we need to restrict rows produced from a select query. And also it is followed by a search condition. We also did say that there are 5 basic search conditions in the where clause. Now we name these conditions as the comparison, range, set membership, pattern match, and null conditions. These are the 5 main where clause conditions. Now, then we started with the first one, the comparison condition. Comparison condition. Under that, we looked at the comparison operators. Now, these basically are mathematical operators that are used in getting output from a particular set of query. So we have the common one that we all know, which is the equal to, not equal to, not. There are various versions of the not equal to sign. We have the greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So these are some of the options that we looked at last week. Right, so now we are going to look at the very first, we're going to go into this, and then we would see how we can actually put this into practice. And also, let me just say, when I'm speaking, does it come across as shouting? Somebody should give me feedback on this, please.
Not to me.
Can I have a few more persons giving me feedback on this?
Not to me either. I think you're quite clear and audible. Thanks, Brethren.
Yeah, same here. You sound very clear.
Thank you very. It's not the clarity, it's whether or not I'm shouting, because in a previous life I was a teacher, so I was told that I think I am. I was told at home that I was shouting, and that I think I'm still in the classroom teaching students. So that's why I just decided to ask you guys whether I was shouting. And if I come across as me shouting, or it's not intentional, I mean, that's just the way I speak most of the time. Maybe because I've been a teacher before. And you know, back home teachers, we normally kind of use our voice a bit. It's not like here, right? Okay. So I'll be using a mix of databases today. I'll be using a mix. Let's say we have that. We will try these and see. We will try the different databases and see. So let's say we have this, and we say, oh no, let me remove. We now want to run a proper thing. So this is select all, right? Select all from, let's say, let me use, where is this? Which database can I use? One that has got figures. I want something that has figures. You know what? Let me just try this and see. Let me just try that. So this is in AdventureWorks. This is in AdventureWorks. So let me just try this. Select all from. Fact Finance. Let's run this and see what it would give us. I just want to have an idea of what is there. Okay, so we can actually make use of this. Yeah, we can make use of this. At least we have figures that we can use here. So yeah, let's make use of this. So select all from Fact Finance, and then we put a where clause there with a comparison condition, right? Where, well, let's say, what is the attribute where we have the figures? I'm not talking about the keys. I'm talking about the real figures. The attribute is amount, right? So where amount is, for example, equal to, let's use equal to, where amount is equal to, let's say, 35,000. Let's see if we have anything like that. Let's just see if we have anything like that in the database. Okay, obviously we don't have anything like that. That is why it's come up blank. But let's now go back and then actually select a figure that we know is there and see whether we would get it. So we have 31,805.37. 31,805.37. So this is just exploratory. We're just doing an exploratory exercise here using what we already know, right? Let's execute it, see whether it would come up with just that result, and if there are other ones, if there are other rows with that figure, it should produce all of those. Do we see that? Do we see that? Okay, so this has given us that. Now let's use another table. Let's use another database. Let's say we have, let me take another database and see if we can get something from somewhere else. Okay, that is here. This would also give us a value. Okay, let's try this one too and see. Let me just copy this. Select, this time we are changing the database to that, right? We're changing that to that. So which was the name of the table we are using? The name of the table is called Pay Elements. Pay Elements. And let's say amount is, let's say 40K, 40,000. Let's see if it will give us anything that is 40,000. Let's see if that, no. We don't have amounts in that. We don't have amounts in that table. That's why that is underlined. So that what we have is pay value, right? What we have is pay value. Where pay value is equal to 40,000. So let's run this and see if we would get anything. Okay, so there is no 40,000 there. Let me use 31,000. Yep, there is a 31,000. There is a 31,000. Right? There is a 31,000. So that gives us that. Now let's again run another query. Let's go back to our adventure works table. And let's say we still selected from that where amount is greater than that. Let's see what we would get when we do this, when we run this table. Well, when we run this query, sorry. We have a whole lot, right? So all these ones, if you check, every result that is produced here is greater than 31,805. Every single result here is greater than that figure. Okay, every result is greater than that figure. And if we decide instead of that, let's use this table, this database. Let's assume we now say less than 40K. Yeah? Let's assume we say less than 40,000. I hope you know why some of these are underlined red, right? Can anybody tell us why? Can anybody tell us why some are underlined red? Should I call names?
I think because, okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, duplicate.
I can hardly hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Bukola.
Oh, sorry. I know that when you're inputting the query and it's not correct, maybe correct sequence or what do I call it? It shows red, or when it's duplicates as well, it shows red. That's the one.
Look carefully at the queries.
Okay.
Now, before I even wrote this one, every time okay, I won't give you an answer now. I'm going to run another query, but look carefully at the queries and see if you can figure out. Well, in this instance, I agree with you, where the statement is not correct, or where you haven't used the correct word. Yes, it will be underlined, but it's not. That is not always the case. In this particular case, we've run all the queries here prior to this one, and all of them have been run successfully. So there is nothing wrong with these queries.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing at all wrong with them. But something is making some of them get underlined red. Now watch carefully, and I will ask the same question when we run the next query. Okay, so let me run this one now, and then we will see. So we say we want where pay value is less than 40K. Let's execute. Yeah, so we have all these here, the pay value is less than 40K. All of these are less than 40K, right? All of these are less than 40K. Okay, so we get that. Let me run another query. We'll run another one. And now watch carefully. Let's now say we use the operator greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal. Let me change this to, let's say, 55K. Let me change it to 55. Did I get that? 55,000. Okay. Did you notice something? Did anybody notice something?
The red on the line, red highlight is gone. But why? I'm not sure why.
Did we run this? Did we just run this query?
Yes,
Did we just run this query here? This one. Okay, let me highlight it. This one. Did we just run this?
yes,
Okay. Did it run correctly?
I believe so. Yes,
Actually, that's the output here.
yes.
Okay. So it ran correctly. Okay. Now, if there had been anything wrong with the query, would it have given us an output?
No, it won't.
Okay. So is the query correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, the query is correct. But why is it now underlined red? When we were running it, was it underlined red?
No.
Okay. Why do you think it's now underlined red?
Okay, let me see. Honestly.
Okay, let me give you an answer. Let me do something again and watch. I'm not going to give you the answer easily like that because the answer
Hello,
is very, very
can you hear me?
obvious. Pardon?
Oh, sorry, I was asking if you could hear me. I was trying to make a contribution, but I wasn't sure if you could hear me.
No, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, I do apologize. Sorry. I was just going to say that was it when you changed the data source? Because I know you
Exactly.
changed.
When I change the
Oh,
data source, when I change the database. So now you see this one that had the red underlining. Now that I've changed it to where the table where this data comes from, it's gone back to normal.
Oh, that's that.
It's
I
gone
don't
back to
really know it.
normal. And this one, which previously was normal, has been underlined red because the system now is confused as to where this is coming from. Do you get that? There's nothing wrong with these queries. Nothing whatsoever is wrong with them. But once you change the data source, then wherever query you have, which is not from that data source, would start complaining. So that is what is happening in this case. So there's nothing wrong with these ones. So don't be worried at all about whether or not the queries are correct. They are perfectly okay. Okay, so let's run this one and see. The data source is correct. It's coming from Fact Finance. We have already seen that table is from AdventureWorks. Okay, so let's see to this. Let's execute this and see what we will get. You would see here that every output here is greater than or equal to 55,000. Let's increase it. This seems to be quite a lot. Let me increase the figure to 100,000. 100,000. Let's see if we can get something out of that. It's still quite a lot. I see. These are quite huge figures, aren't they? Okay, let me increase it to 500,000. Let's see what we would get. Yep. So all these figures here are greater than 500,000. If you run, I hope you're running it on your own systems too. Whenever I change the source to AdventureWorks, you can also run on your. I believe you all have the AdventureWorks database on your SQL server. Okay, so that's one, brings us to an end of this of 4.1. Now let's move one step further. And this one, we're going to look at what we call the compound comparison. Compound comparison search. Compound comparison search. Who understands what that statement would mean or could mean? Can anybody tell us what that statement could mean?
Hi, Godwin. Sorry.
Yep. Yep.
Could it mean when you're trying to do multiple comparison
Exactly.
queries?
That is just what it means. Exactly. You're right. When you combine multiple operators, when you combine multiple, so let's say, for example, we have what do we have here? Let's say we select. Let's use this one again. Well, let's say pay value. Pay value is less than 30K or end date. Now take note of the combinations. End date is not null. Let's see what we will get out of this. Let's see what we would get, whether this will give us anything sensible. And then we would try something else. Let's change this a little bit. And instead of or, we use and. Instead of or, we use and. Okay, this hasn't given us any value because there's no condition like that. Let me just change one of the pay value is less than, and let me say, let's say 55K and see what we'll get. 55,000. I want to see if it will produce a result. Okay, so this also didn't produce a result. But do you see what I'm trying to do here? Can anybody guess what I'm trying to achieve from these two queries? From this and that. I'll use the adventure works and see if that will give us results for both. Actually, let me do something before I go to adventure works. Let me just say this is equal to null. Okay, this also didn't give us anything, and there is a reason why. But let me just let me run this query again. Now, let me see what we have here before we go on. Let me see everything so that I see what I can use. There is a reason why this null is not working, because null is usually not written this way. Null is written in a specific way, which we would come across when we use the null statement. So maybe I should just, I'll put notes against this. These will not work like this. But let me try it with the adventure works and see whether that would work. Let me take this one. No, let me take that one. Let's first of all see what we would combine it with. Let me see what is in this table. Let me see what is in this table. Okay, so let's assume that where amount is greater than 30,000, or amount is greater than 31, or let me increase this to 300,000, and account key and account key is less than, and account key is less than, say, 75. Let's run this. This is a compound comparison. We've put two things together. We can keep adding to make more. Let's see what we will get out of that. So this is the results we have here. If you look at all of these, the output amount will be greater than 300,000, 805. And the output key would be less than 75. So in all of this, if you scroll down, you will not see an output key that is over 75. If we were to change this to, let's say, 50, you will see that the number here would reduce. 701 rows of data would reduce. And now we have 570. If we were to change this to, let's say, 20, let's just see. We have 270 rows of data, right? So that is something that you should be aware of. We will come back to this null statement when we get to null, okay? Remind me when we get to null, we will come back to it. Let me see what the issue is. Let me verify exactly what the issue is with that. I'm confident we can produce something with these figures here. Don't have a null. I would have used that. Okay, so let's get on with it. Let me go back to this. Now we're going to do 4.2. And that is the range condition. Range condition, condition. Now, the words for the range condition, did I give you last week? The key words for the range condition are between, and not between. These are the keywords: between on its own, and then not between. Between and not between. So it's either something is between or something is not between. Okay, these are the keywords for the range condition. So for example, if I say that Usain Bolt can run 100 meters between 9 and 10 seconds. That is a range that I've given Usain Bolt. And I can say that, who is here? Let me use somebody here. Is there a Busola on this call? Hey, there's a Busola here, right? Busola cannot run 100 meters between, cannot. So Busola can run not between 9 and 10 seconds because she cannot run like Usain Bolt, right? So that is how it is used for the range condition. So if we want to do that, we can, for example, say, select from pay elements where pay value between, let me change this so that we have a fair result, between 30,000 and 60,000. Where pay value is between 30,000 and 60,000. If we run this, it will give us just the values between those figures. 30,000 and 60,000. So there is no 60,000 here. That's why you don't see 60,000. If it were there, it would have popped up. Right. So that these are the pay values in the database where the pay is between 30,000 and 60,000. Right, let's try the same query on the Adventure Works table and see what we would have. So that would be from Fact Finance. Let me change. When you change the source, it also gives you, it prompts you to choose your table. So immediately I start typing, I have a prompt and I can easily select from. But if you don't change the source, then you have to type everything. And under that, we don't have pay value, we have amount. So where amount gives me a prompt, where amount between, let's say 300,000 and 600,000, right? Let's see what we get out of this. It gives us all of these figures here. So there will be nothing here bigger than 600,000. And there will be nothing lower than 300,000. Everything would have to be between these two figures. Is that right? In much the same way, if we were to use the not between word, then it will give us everything outside of this range. Not between. It will give us everything outside of this range, not between. So that excludes, it excludes everything within this range, everything outside of it. Those lower than 300,000 and those greater than 600,000. Everything except things between 300,000 and 600,000. That is what it gives us here. Any questions so far? Let's look at the next condition. Set membership. Membership. Now, the condition here is in, not in. So it pretty much works the same as between and not between, but slightly different. In and not in. I have not fully studied this database, the AdventureWorks database. So for this particular query, I'll use something that I have actually looked at fully. So I'll go back to this. Let me see where that is. Let me see where the table, okay, I see that. Before we run, let's just run a query to see what we have here. Select all. Which table do I want to use? I want to use a table here called marital status. I want to use a table called marital status. That is what I want to use. And let's run it and see what we have. Okay. So when we say a set membership, it's like being a member of a group. Right, a set membership, a member of something. So for example, in a workplace, you have people who belong to different unions. This person will say, I belong to this union, that person belongs to that union, that union, that union. Right. So if you are in a school, somebody would say, I'm in GSS 1, another person would be in GSS 3, SS3, that kind of thing. So the set membership denotes membership of a group, which is why I want to use this table, because this here has grouped, it has classed people as either married, separated, divorced, cohabiting, in that kind of thing. So those are the various groups that the members of this table have been put into. Right. So let's say we want to see where people in this group are married. Where marital status. Marital status. Marital status. In, let's say, married. in a group of people who are
Sorry,
married.
sorry,
Yep.
excuse me, Godwin.
Yep.
When you type marital status now, the drop down, there are 3 different marital status. Is there any reason for that?
Let's go back and see.
Yeah,
So we have
the
marital
marital,
status ID.
yeah, the first 2.
One is a table. One is a table. I think this
Okay.
one is a table. And then the other one, no, there are 2. The other one is the attribute.
Okay.
So you see this is the table.
That's
Unfortunately,
it.
they
Okay.
remain the same. This is the table, and this is the
And
attribute.
attribute.
Actually, the
Okay.
attribute that I want there.
So in this case now you are using the attribute,
Yes, I'm using
not
the
the table.
attribute.
Okay.
Yeah, in married. Married, is it double R? Yes, it is. Let's run this and see. And this is, I'm sure somebody will say why, somebody will ask why this is red. Okay, no worries, we'll come to that. So this will give us all those who are married. And you see this, I've put this in quotation marks because it's a string. Let me see if I take out the brackets, whether it will still work. Just experiment that and see. Oh, no, it's not going to work. Because it is, it's not going to work. So yeah. So when we run this here is in quotation marks because it's a string. Okay. And so that takes care of it being red. Now, let us write this statement slightly differently and see whether that would also work. I'm just experimenting with this one. The thought just came. Let's see. I want to see whether in would be the same as equal to. I'm just experimenting that. If it works, then that is fine. Actually, it has worked. So that is pretty good. That is pretty good. In much that, just as we did with compound comparisons, we can also do compound memberships here. So we can also have this. Married and at the same time cohabiting, let's say. Cohabiting, is it double T, yeah? Cohabits, or 1T. Let's see, if it doesn't work, we will correct the spelling. So can somebody tell me why this one is underlined red? And actually it gives us a prompt. Yeah, can somebody tell us why?
Could it be because there isn't a column with that title, with that name?
There isn't what?
There isn't a column with that name.
No, that's not the reason why.
Okay.
There is no column called married. Is there a column called married? So what you did was read what came out of that, but you didn't fully read it. Okay, let me just put this here and let's see what happens. Has that changed? Has it become as married?
Yes, it
Okay.
has. Okay.
So it's because there was no quotation marks around it. So
Okay.
you have to put strings in quotation marks. Okay.
Okay.
So this gives us all those who are married and at the same time cohabiting. Okay. Or cohabiting. Now, the next one is the big one. The next one is a big one. And that could take a bit of time. Before we go to that, let me see if I can get anything under the... I doubt. Okay, products. Let me see products. All right, let's see if we can get a sense of, let's see, I'm just trying to see if we can use another table to write the same query, the same type of query. Let's see. I just want to use, let me use this. Let me use the products. Maybe we can have products grouped by country. And then we can use either the products or either the country as a group by department. No, okay, so there is a department group actually. So that is possible. There's a product category, so that is possible. There is territory, so that is possible. So let's just try one of these and see, yeah? Let's just try one and see. Select. Let's run the whole thing and see. From somebody give us a group. Okay, let's say dim geography. Dim geography. Let me change the data source so we can have our prompts. Dim customer, dim employee, dim accounts. Dim geography. Let's see what we have there. Select all. From dim geography. Let's see what this would give us. Then we can see if we can add the membership condition, okay? Yes, so we can actually do some, we can actually write a query to group things as per, for example, province name. Right? So where, let's say we have where state province name, state province name. State province name in, let's say it's Orlando. Right, so let's see if that would give us everything in Orlando. Did we spell Orlando wrong or something? Let's see. Orlando. Oh, it's not Orlando, it's Ontario. I need to go to Specsavers. Let's see Ontario. Ontario. Okay, so that gives us Ontario. So everything in Ontario is here, right? So it's one way. If your manager, for example, tells you, give me all our customers in Ontario. That's a query for you. You want all customers in what other state was there? You can group them, Ontario, and let's say New South Wales, just like we did the first one. Ontario, New South Wales. New South Wales. New South. This will give us everything in New South Wales and Ontario. Right? Okay. So let's go to the next type of query. Give me 1 minute. Get out, out. Right, let's go to the next type of query, 4.4. This should be 4.4, right? 4.4. And that is the pattern match. Pattern match. Pattern, is it one T or double T? I think it's a double T, right?
That's right, button.
Pattern match. Search condition. Now, what are the words for the pattern match search condition? The keywords for the pattern match. So here, this place, we didn't use the negative bit of it, not in. We didn't, but you can yourself use that, right? You can use that in any query that you want to experiment, you want to try your hands on. I would advise you to try on the ones we haven't done, yeah. The pattern match is, the keywords here are like and not like. Like and not like. Now, there are two main instances of the pattern match. And the pattern match is denoted by what we call wild cards. These give the two main types of pattern match: the percentage and underscore. This is underscore. Okay, let me write it like this, underscore, so that underscore, underscore. The underscore, that's the pattern match. The wild card and then the underscore. And these two, especially the first one, the wild card, the percentage sign, is very, very, very important. The uses of the percentage of that wild card is so diverse, so deep. It's both diverse and deep, and is used by a lot of agencies, including, I don't want to mention, the secret services. So it's used a lot. It has a lot of uses in computing. So, assuming you want to find somebody in the UK, assuming you want to find somebody in the whole wide world, and assuming you have the database, let me just restrict myself to the UK. Most of us are in the UK, right? Is there anyone in Nigeria on the call? Is there anyone in Nigeria on the call? Is there anyone from... Is there anyone from... How many people do we have on the call? 1, 2, 3. Oh, we have quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Remy, where are you?
Yes,
where are you? Where did you join the call from?
I'm from London. I'm here in London.
You're in London. What about Temi?
I'm in London, so.
Bukola?
Sorry, I was looking for in London, from London, Johnny.
Wow, so you're all in London. Bingpe? Rose?
I'm in London.
Okay, so everybody is in London. Bingpe hasn't answered. Anyway, no, not a problem. So assuming we want to find somebody in London, we know the person, but we don't know where the person lives. We know part of the person's address. We have all addresses in London in a database. and it is there, we can narrow down our search from, instead of going from street to street looking for the person, we can narrow down our search using this wildcard. If we know just a bit of where the person lives or about that person, we can narrow down our search with just this wildcard. And that is how a lot of people get nabbed without knowing how it happened. So, if, for example, I write something like, I'm going to explain this. Addresses like what does this, what is the meaning of this? Okay, let me do this. Instances of the wildcard. Instances of this. Addresses like this. So let me make this 4.41. Four point two one. In the same way, if I write this, what does this mean? And if I write this, what does it mean? Yes, who can tell us what the first one means?
Well, I think, if you can hear me, with the percentage in front, it means that the part that is missing is after H. So that means H is the starting, then whatever is missing is after H.
Okay, you have an idea. Very good trial, actually. Actually, yeah, I think you got it, actually. So what it means is that the first character must be an H, the rest can be anything. The first character must be an H, the rest can be anything. So, for example, if I'm looking for if I have the whole addresses of all Londoners, and I'm looking for somebody, I have addresses of all Londoners in a database. I'm looking for somebody within that database. I know that their address starts with an H, but I don't know where exactly they are, where exactly they live. What can I do? If I write a query with this H percentage, now what it's going to give me is a list of all addresses in London that have the first letter starting with a H. So straight away, you see that you start narrowing down the addresses that you are looking for. You start narrowing down your search. Now, you have deleted everything except H. And you can write further queries to further narrow down to exactly what you want, depending on the information you have. In the same way, the last one says that everything can, the last letter must be an L. All other things can be anything. The last must be an L. All other things can be anything. So let me just put this down in the notes so that we have it. Okay. And this one means the last character must be an L. The rest can be anything. The last character must be an L. The rest can be anything. But what does the last one mean? What does the last one mean?
The last one is searching specific area, Woolwich.
Okay, so the last one is searching for Woolwich. The search must produce a result that must necessarily contain the word Woolwich. Okay, in much the same way, we can write the negations, the negatives of this, right? I'll leave that to you to complete. It will be in the notes, but I'll just leave that to you to complete. Oops. So that will be 4.445.6. Not. All you do is put not in front of these. Not like Not like. So this one must be, the first must not be an H. The first character must not be. So it's as simple as that, right? Must not be. Must not be. Must not produce. Must not produce. The search must not produce a result that's, the search must produce a result that must contain. The search must not produce a result that contains. That contains. The search must produce a result that contains. Let me take that out. That contains the word Woolwich. Are we getting somewhere with this? Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, so now let's look at the other type of wildcard. These are the various instances of the percentage wildcard. Let's look at the other instances of the other wildcard. Instances of the underscore. In much the same way, if we have addresses, let's still use addresses because that looks like an easy thing, an easy option for us. You can use name. You can use anything. Addresses like H. Now, ideally, this must be like that. Look at what I've written. One, and I've left space here, space there, space there, space there. And ideally, there must be no space, right? So it must just be like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when I do that, you wouldn't see exactly what I'm trying to show. That's why I've left space, just for the sake of demonstration, okay? So if for example, I want to write house, I wouldn't be writing house like this, would I? I wouldn't be writing it like this. It would be a complete, there wouldn't be spaces in the letters. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So just take note of that. Just to make this clearer and easy to read. So here we have H and 4 underscores. What does that mean? What does this mean? Yep. Anybody?
Okay. We're looking for 4 character
We
after
are
each.
looking for
4 character after each.
we are looking for
4 characters. That means anything after each. The word must follow is 4 characters.
you have an idea, but you're not saying it right.
Okay.
It simply means that this. Yes, somebody wants to talk.
Yeah, it's semi. I was going to say that the results, the search must produce a result that starts with H and it would have um 4 other characters.
Okay, so how many characters in all?
5.
5. That's what I'm looking for. So the search must necessarily have 5 characters. The first one must be an H. The search must have 5 characters. The first must be an H. Or the results starts with an H and must be made of 5 characters. Must be made of 5 characters. The second option the second version of this, if we have what does this mean? Yep, what does it mean?
The results must made up of 6 characters ending with the letter T.
That's it. And you can write the negatives of these, not like H underscore, not like P. You can write the negatives of all of those things. So let's now let's practicalize this and see in our database. Let's see if we can get okay, we are already in AdventureWorks. Let's use AdventureWorks. Let's select all from, let's say, dim geography, where okay, what do we have in this? Select all dim geography. Is that that produced this? Is that the same query that produced this? English country?
Oh, it's not Godwin.
Actually, it is.
So I think you had
Is it dim geography we used or dim something else?
I think you only
Geography.
selected New South Wales and Ontario for that.
Yeah, we used, but I'm talking about the table.
Yes,
We use dim geography,
yes,
so it's the
that
same
same
table.
table.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the same table. Now let's use a different let's use English country region name. So where English country region name, like let's say percentage like Canada. Oh, okay. I think I see what is wrong. Okay, so let's have this. So what results are we expecting from this? What results are we expecting from this? All right, let's execute it and see. So this gives us where the English country is Canada. English country region name. But this is quite a simple form of it, because if you look at this query alone, if you look at just this query alone, the country names are just single words, right? The country names are just, okay, some have got United Kingdom, United States. Okay. But if this one was, for example, if we had a whole address, like a street name, a street address, like 42 Kosarubo Street, Canada, it will still search for that word Canada and produce it. You get what I'm trying to get? I'm trying to say. Okay, let's do another one. Select all, again from dim geography. Select all from dim geography, where let's say state province name. State province. State province name. Like. Now, since I'm now writing a proper query, I cannot leave spaces like we did here. Do you get? Otherwise, the system would cry. Underscore. Okay. How many underscores did I put there? This is a string, so it has to be in quotation marks. And let's see what we would get if we run this query. So from the results produced, how many underscores do you think I put there? This is the attribute we use.
Five.
Name.
5.
5. So 5
Yeah.
underscores, right? And you see that it has given us everything that has 𝐂𝐓 in it. So you can manipulate these things to suit your purpose, to suit what you want. But this one is really, really strong. The percentage sign in searching, in carrying out a search is very, very powerful. Where is what I just wrote? Where is it? No, not null. It's null, it's not null. Let me put it right. It's null, it's not null. Okay, let me remove it first. But that is where we are going, actually. Let's assume we want to search for something. Where something is null. Remember we talked about null. Was it last week or last 2 weeks? We spoke about null, right? What did we say null is?
Empty.
Are you sure?
Or
Okay.
invalid.
Okay. Okay. Just hold it there. Empty. Let's experiment it. Select. Let me change my database.
Is it empty or invalid?
Select. Let's say person ID. Person ID. Select person ID, start date. Start date. And let's say pay type. Pay type. From pay elements. Pay elements. Well, let's say, okay, let's run this. Let's run this first and see what we would have, and then we select something from there. So we just chosen 3 things to show. Assuming I want if it's something else. So that's not conclusive enough for me for this query. Let me just put what I want there. I know that is there. Where end date. You said empty, right? Where end date is equal to empty. So empty will just be space, right? Sorry. This is empty. Let's see if this would produce any result. Let's see. If null were to be empty, if null is the same as empty, then all the nulls in the database. So instead of this, if I run this, query, if I run just this bit, you would see that we are looking at end date, right? There are null. So if we say null is the same as empty, by your definition, then it should produce these results. But is that what happens? That doesn't happen. So null is not empty. I think I did tell us what null is the last time. Also, look at something. If we were to do this, let's see if this will yield a result. This also doesn't yield a result. Okay. It doesn't yield a result. That sends us back to, remember I said, remind me when we get to null. Something we did earlier. And we were not having any results. It's because of the way we use the null in the statement. Yep, it's because of the way we use null here. Because of the way we use null here. So these would not give us any results because of the way they have been used. That's why I said I'll put notes against these ones. So it's the same for the other two, the same. Because of the way null has been used, it's not going to work. No matter what you do, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So what will work? What is it that will work? Remember when I started writing, I wrote something and I said, I took it off. I said, we'll come back to it. So how is the null condition really written? the correct way to write the null condition is what I'm going to correct usage of null. It should be is null or is not null. Not equal to. It doesn't take equal to. Null cannot be equated. It is not equatable because you don't know what it is. That is why you can't put an equal sign, a greater than, a less than sign in front of null. All you can say is the thing is null, and it's null means you simply don't know what is there. Or it is not null. Again, it means you don't know what is there. There is something there, but you just don't know what it is. So let's see. Let's rewrite these same queries and see how they will work. And see whether they will work with the correct usage now. Instead of the equal sign, let's remove that and put is. And run that. Let's see if it would work. Has it worked? Yes, it has. So where the end date is null, that is what we have. And where the end date is not null, let's run that also and see. Okay. You get any questions so far? Any questions so far? Is there a Temi here? Temi, any questions?
What is sorry about the background noise. None, but thank you.
Okay. Damola, any questions? It's almost 11 o'clock, so I wouldn't start any new thing. I had one more thing I wanted to talk about. But yeah, we have finished with the where clause. This brings us to an end of the where clause. So we've covered all the 5 different conditionalities that we can possibly meet under the where clause. We've covered the comparison condition. We've covered the range. We've covered the set membership. We've covered the pattern, comparison, range, set membership, pattern, and then the null. Okay, so these are the 5 different conditionalities we can meet under the null clause. Any questions so far with us? If there's no question, I would encourage you to practice whatever we've done here using different data tables, different databases. You can still look in through your AdventureWorks data set and then pick tables that you can use, okay? You can still use that. So even with this one, you can use anything, any of the tables here to write a query and see what results you get. The only instance or the only time that you might not be able to effectively use a particular database is if, for example, you are working with figures and the database hasn't got figures. That is where you would say, okay, you would look for a different kind of database to use. But where the database has got figures, you can use it for anything if you look carefully. Right, so I'll be sending the notes to Damola like before.